According to a senior member of the ruling African National Congress, South Africa can become a failed state. Yes, the most industrialized and diversified economy of Africa, the South African region currently swings dangerously on the edge of instability. Corruption, leadership woes, and policy dilemmas have painted a stormy horizon. So, what are the economic issues that South Africa is currently facing, and how do these difficulties signify for the broader African economy? So let's dive right in. South Africa is a country on the southernmost tip of the African continent, marked by several distinct ecosystems. Over the last 2 decades, South Africa was the most influential country in sub-Saharan Africa, and the economy of South Africa ranked 3rd largest in Africa in 2022, being the most industrialized, technologically advanced, and diversified economy in the African continent. South Africa is also a member of the BRICS group of emerging economies, along with Brazil, Russia, India, and China. However, the country once hailed as the Rainbow Nation has been grappling with economic challenges for several years. South Africa is experiencing its worst daily power outages, with a load shedding 10 hours a day. These frequently occurring blackouts have impacted businesses, industries, and people, and cost the nation at least 2% of its GDP. Eskom, the state-owned electricity provider in South Africa, saddled with $26 billion in debt and operates power plants with outdated infrastructure. Then there is corruption and mismanagement. South Africa has a serious corruption problem, which has undermined public trust in the government. There were 104 confirmed cases of fraud and corruption registered with the South African Police Service from 2021 to March 2022. And if we talk about mismanagement, South Africa's infrastructure is eroding across the board, from roads and bridges to rail and the water system. Also, the high levels of inequality and poverty are another critical issue. South Africa has an official unemployment rate of about 33%, one of the highest in the world. 1 of 2 young South Africans is unemployed, and 60% are living under the poverty line. In fact, according to the World Bank, South Africa remains a dual economy with one of the highest and most persistent inequality rates in the world. The consumer's purchasing power is also declining daily as a result of increasing food, electricity, interest rates, and many more. This is compounded by high inflation since 2018, which averaged 5.9%. And then there are some external factors as well, such as the COVID-19 pandemic. Due to strict lockdowns implemented in an effort to stop the virus's spread, production in the majority of industries came to a halt during the pandemic, further depressing South Africa's economy. Natural calamities like the recent flooding in Durban and areas of the Eastern Cape have severely damaged the infrastructure. So if we talk about where does South Africa stand economically today, well, although South Africa narrowly averted a recession in the first quarter, economists and experts warned that the country would still face significant growth inhibiting obstacles in the coming months. South Africa's central bank has given a gloomy forecast for 2023. It expects the economy to grow only by 0.3%. And on a worldwide scale, the International Monetary Fund predicts an even slower growth of just 0.1%. While Eskom has also warned that scheduled electricity outages may worsen in the coming Southern Hemisphere winter. Additionally, even though the first quarter saw an increase in food manufacturing, food retailers have started to warn that they are under intense price pressure that may soon be passed on to the customers. Now, what does this mean for the rest of the African continent? Well, as the largest and most industrialized economy of the continent, its struggles can send ripples across Africa. And there are both direct and indirect impacts that can be felt in the region. So let's take a look at them. The first impact would be the reduction in trade and investment flows between South Africa and other African countries. South Africa is one of the largest trading partners and investors in Africa, especially in the Southern African Development Community region. Moreover, South Africa is a leader and champion of regional integration and cooperation in Africa, such as the African Continental Free Trade Area and the African Peer Review Mechanism. So, as South Africa's economy weakens, it may import fewer goods and services from its African neighbors, negatively impacting their economies, particularly those that rely heavily on exports to South Africa. Similarly, The economic stability of South Africa influences investor confidence, not only within the country, but also across the continent. So, a struggling South African economy can deter foreign and domestic investment, which is essential for the development of all the African economies. Another impact would be the loss of tourism revenues from South African visitors to other African destinations. Tourism is a vital sector for many African countries, providing jobs, income, and foreign exchange. And before the pandemic, South Africa was the fourth largest source market for international tourist arrivals in Africa. In fact, on the African continent, this nation is home to the most UNESCO World Heritage Sites as of 2022. Therefore, a drop or a halt in tourism from South Africa could affect the tourism island and related sectors in many African countries. Moreover, South Africa has been a magnet for labor migration from neighboring countries. Economic hardships in South Africa can lead to increased competition for jobs and potentially exacerbate tensions between South African citizens and migrant workers, affecting labor markets and social dynamics in the whole continent. The economic collapse can also cause a currency devaluation. South Africa's economic troubles can affect the value of its currency, the South African rand. A weaker rand can make it more expensive for other African countries that trade with South Africa and hold reserves in ZAR, potentially leading to currency devaluation in other nations. Now, talking about the indirect impacts. One indirect impact would be the deterioration in regional security and stability due to increased social unrest and violence in South Africa. South Africa is a key player in regional and continental peace and security initiatives such as the African Union and the SADC. It also hosts many refugees and migrants from other African countries who are fleeing from conflict, persecution, or poverty. Therefore, a breakdown in law and order in South Africa could undermine its role and influence in promoting peace and security in Africa. Moreover, a withdrawal or isolation of South Africa from regional and continental affairs could also hamper the progress and prospects of integration and cooperation in Africa, as well as weaken the voice and representation of Africa in global forums. And if South Africa's economic collapse leads to widespread social unrest and instability, it can have a domino effect on the region, potentially encouraging civil unrest in neighboring countries facing similar economic challenges. So, as you can see, South Africa's economic crisis not only threatens the country but also is a tragedy for the rest of Africa. And in order to address its economic problems and re-establish its growth potential and stability, South Africa must move quickly and decisively. It's also important that other African countries and partners support South Africa in its recovery efforts and strengthen their resilience and solidarity in the face of common challenges. Thank you for watching this video. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. And let us know what you think about this topic in the comments section below. See you next time.